Take 3. The previous one I wasn't prepared for. The one before that, I didn't have the microphone turned on. Very inefficient. Anyway, I don't want to make light of all the great things all these football players have gone on to do. Managers, play for the different teams, national squad. All sorts of things they've done. Obtained awards, many articles on television, on talk shows. So I'm only just touching the surface. And it is just the surface. So Chic Bates, nice man. He was a manager at Shrewsbury before he came to Swindon. And then he was Lou Macari's assistant. I remember getting to Shrewsbury with Lou and Chic Bates. I don't know why. I can't remember being any official business, but it must have been, I suppose. I went to Lou a few times, different places, mainly for scouting. Again, I don't know why I was there, because I don't know anything about football. Who else? John Trollope. I worked with John Trollope for 4 years. He had a little office around the side there. And when I knew him, he wasn't in the limelight, but I've looked up a few articles about him recently. And I saw an interview in 1982 on his local TV station. He was a manager. To be a manager of a football club, but it's first division or fourth division, there's a great responsibility. It's not easy. Most people can't do it. Whether you're a successful manager or not, just being the manager, that's it. You achieve something getting there. So you lost one game, you've done good. You lost a season or 2, you've done really good. Anyway, John and I, we got on well. Again, John, like everybody else, and I've seen, but I mentioned about other people that have done the same thing. Whatever happened in the court case, we all know the pressure that you were under and the intimidation and the blackmail, basically, of doing what you're told or else. So that's the way the injustice of the world works. Yeah, nice man, John Trollope. Got an MBA for having, I think, the most league games that he played in for a team than anybody else in history. Ray Odman took over as chairman of Swindon Town Football Club. I know Ray Odman going back to 1978. 78, maybe 79. Might be beginning of 79. Could be. He was the director of McLean Homes. And I once went for a job at McLean Homes, I think, to become the company secretary or the accountant. I can't quite remember, but I was interviewed by the company secretary anyway. And they offered me the job, but the wages weren't high enough, and they couldn't make it any higher. They weren't flexible enough, so I turned the job down. But they remember me, so when Gary Herbert, who had a construction company, was seeking a new accountant, he asked this man that he knew, and he recommended me. They contacted me. And that's how I worked for the construction company. And then in 1982, about 1982, Gary Herbert became a director of Swindon Town Football Club, along with Brian Hillier, Nick Arkle, and Colin Howard. And there's an article about that you can see, a TV article about that. Lionel Smart, I talk about Lionel Smart, he's a nice man from Bath City, vice chairman of the FA. Kevin Morris. So sad. Kevin Morrison, a really nice man. All the girls liked him. Grey-haired man, but his personality is wonderful. And he collected watches. And to me, he always seemed like a happy man. It was so sad to hear that he committed suicide. I mean, what a tragic thing to happen to him. I know it can happen to anybody. I know what it's like to get depressed. I know other people that have got depressed. It's not a good thing. Anyway, I've had lots of good times with you, Gary. Hello. No hard feelings. Again, the same thing applies to you. Pressure you put under and the blackmail, intimidation, the rest of it, the bullying, is not easy. But you can imagine what I went through. A lot worse. Out with no money. Out with no home. Out with children. Difficult. No hard feelings. We all had it hard. We were scapegoats. Same applies to you, Colin Howard. And last time I saw you was at Brian Hilliard's funeral. You looked very full of remorse, and I understand that. And I know you said to me anything you can do to help. I don't like asking, so I didn't ask. But yeah, we all know what happened. The judge told the jury, and it was quite comical, I have to admit. But thank you. I mentioned Wilf Castle before. He's a nice man. Ex-chairman of the football club many years ago. had Castle's Bakery. Cecil Green. I didn't have a lot to do with Cecil Green. He was a chairman, a figurehead. Not a chairman, he was the president. Brian Headley was the chairman. Then Gary Herbert, then Ray Hartman. I used to go to his house sometimes to get checkbooks signed by him, because every cheque had to have 3 signatures: mine, the chairman, and another director. But sometimes it wasn't possible. And there'd be important things to do, like for instance, one day there was a transfer to be made, and there's a deadline. You know, there's a window of opportunity, and if you don't do it on deadline day, you can't get the transfer done. So I said to the bank, this needs to be done. There's no signature. You can just have my signature. £185,000 transfer. They did it. I remember the chairman, Brian Headley, in the boardroom, phoned the bank up and complaining, saying they mustn't do that. It happened a few times afterwards, because the bank knows that I have a job to do, and they know these things happen, and they have to make a decision, and they know that I'm an official at the club. It's an important exhibit. What happened? What else can I say about football? Nick Arkle. Nick Arkle's the family of the Arkle Brewery, about 100 pubs or perhaps more. Last time I saw him, I was having some lunch about 15 years ago perhaps, with this, in the Sun Inn by Coatwater, and he was talking to the manager. I take it as a manager, and I was having my lunch, and there he was having a chat. It was Ferrari outside. As we all know, all the directors, all of them were guilty though, but they were given immunity from prosecution, the same with the players. It was an example case, and poor old jury had no idea what they're talking about. The Association of Certified Accountants have made it clear, after a deep investigation with all the evidence, that I did nothing wrong, any false accounting whatsoever. We all know that. That's been well and truly clear. One of hands, if anybody should be guilty of that, because they inspected the official invoice from Colin Howard for the straw, although importing out that it was a missing, but they finally got one, because when I came back to the club for a few months before I got arrested, I saw the official invoice. They sanctioned it, said it's okay. So how on earth could I have false accounting against me? There's no court in the world that can say that, apart from the kangaroo court. Same goes to the conspiracy. I never knew anybody was getting paid behind the scenes on illegal contracts. Nothing to do with me whatsoever. Not a thing. That's the British justice system. The wrong people are in charge, I'm telling you. I'm going on politics now, so get back to Swindon. Keith Manning, Monaghan's. First of all, there was David Alton, who was the managing director of Lowndes Lambert, and they were the sponsors of the club. Leading on to having a meeting with Keith Manning in the boardroom. And I had a long meeting with Keith Manning, because somebody's come to my house for two evenings late at night, working on the final accounts, because it cost a lot of money for the final accounts. 2,000 final accounts were printed and put in A4 envelopes and posted off to all these people. I had to make sure the figures are correct. So a lot of work goes to the final accounts. And the day of the AGM, by the way, a couple of days ago I called it ATM, not AGM. That's wrong. It's not on ATM, it's AGM, Annual General Meeting. And I was on the boardroom and I said, why did you call the money from Lowndes Lambert sponsorship? Why didn't you call it donation? And this is his answer. We didn't think of it, Vince. About £30,000 loss as a company due to that. I've seen a lot of accountants, solicitors not thinking. That's the way they are. I remember the Deputy Superintendent of Police. He's got a friend, so I was just seeing basically every match, and I attended over 100 matches. That's a long hours. That's 500 hours plus of being very, very, very intense work on a match day, my job. Anyway, I remember getting a party next door with him and his friends with my next door neighbour, and I remember my son once scratching his car with my son's bicycle when he was young. I paid for that damage. But then I once saw him, I knocked on the next one of his house, the door, and he was upstairs, and he was speaking from upstairs to my neighbour's house, speaking to me downstairs, and it was a grim kind of situation that I can't say too much about, but it wasn't good. So he was transferred to Hong Kong, and it was to do with being arrested over allegations of £15,000 being stolen by the club that was put on national TV and newspapers, which was a fabrication and illegal and corrupt things done by certain people in power that they should have been arrested and charged with. Never were. That's justice for you. Anyway, we had the leading magistrates that I appointed via Brian Hillier said appoint Doug Wiltshire as the chief steward. So I did. And he was a senior manager of British Railways. But he was a local magistrate, and he actually also said that he went to the bank with me to put some money in the bank, and I didn't put this £15,000 in. A complete 100% fabrication. Basically, I'll tell you the truth, it's an outright lie. It's made up, and I know why it's made up, and I told the police why it's made up. And sadly, that was a result of a construction company and 300-400 people losing their job. Not my doing. Somebody said the wrong thing thinking that I wasn't the person that I was. When they knew what I'm like, I don't get intimidated. It's just not the thing to do. But I will certainly not do that to anybody else. So you should decide who's the guilty one. The same magistrate, when Brian Hillier got told that he wasn't allowed to attend the club over the betting allegation against Newcastle, this new chief steward came to my office and said on match day, if Brian Hillier turns up, should I throw him out? Or worse, something like that, or should I not allow him to come in? I think I basically said, well, if it happens, tell me and I'll deal with it. Strange how people think. I had the job, and I got this job at Swindon Town. I didn't take it straight away because the wages were too low, because I couldn't live on the wages, so I remortgaged my house by the tune of £40,000 to subsidise constantly shocking bad wages, which was £95 a week less than I was getting on unemployment benefit, just to give me a chance to get somewhere. What a waste of time. Working 49, 47, 50 hours a week in the process, unsocial work, and I get this conviction wrongly and the rest of it for the rest of my life. I've got on the subject. I was sitting down at my desk in the office, the best office they had at Swindon Town, still rubbish though, total furniture. It had a secret system. I could hear people talking in the steward's office, in the boardroom, in all parts of the grounds. It was all wired up and bugged. Pretty weird. I'd never used it for anything bad, but somebody'd been using it. Anyway, one day the receptionist came to me and said that there's a man at the door. It's a previous accountant. Well, I didn't know that I was given his job, and he wasn't told that he no longer had his job. He's gone on holiday and came back, and I'm sitting at his desk. So I called him in, I chatted with him, he said, can he see the chairman? So I went to see the chairman on the pitch. The chairman said, I don't want to see him. So I came and said, sorry, I can't see you, but your job's gone, I've got it. He said, can I be your assistant? Because I realised then that's not going to work, is it? I said no. It's a strange thing having to tell the person that's doing your job before that they've lost their job to the person sitting down at his desk. That's Swindon Town. Goodbye.